Hi, this is part 2 of a video series I'm making entitled Can NuTone Model IS69 Entry Door Stations be refurbished to like new? Part 2, if you have watched part 1, you'll know I took an IS69 polished brass apart. We talked about all the ins and outs, and we talked about our intentions of this project, which is to find out if we can refinish old, weathered, worn out NuTone IS69 door stations and make them look like brand new. So this is not the one in the first video. This is another one that I have, because the other one today went along with me for a ride. We went down to a shop in Hayward, California that does metal finishing and bead blasting. The result of that trip is, put that aside, is this. Now you might think, well, he just sprayed it silver. But I didn't. What I did was I took it to the metal finishing business. I walked in with it. I explained why I was there, and the nice lady in the office said, you need to go around into the other building and find Tony and explain it to him, because he's the guy that's going to know. And so I went and I found Tony. Nice guy, nice shop, nice small industrial metal finishing shop. And I found Tony, and I explained to him what I wanted to do and why, and I showed him the original one from the first video, which looked a lot like this, only it had all been taken apart. And Tony looked at it and he said, oh, that's a brass finish, and I don't know, we can't really do anything with the brass, and I don't think the brass will come off, and we don't know what's underneath it, and there could be copper or something else, and I don't know, and I don't think it'll work, and I don't think we can do it. And then there was this other fellow that they just called the big guy, and he said, hey, come over here, look at this a minute, and you think you can get this off in the bead blaster? And the other guy said, well, I don't know. And Tony said, I don't know if we can do it, but well, he handed it to the guy and said, why don't you take it over there and try it and see what happens? And the guy took it and went to head off to the other building, and then Tony said, come on, well, let's go watch. And I thought, cool. So, because some places like that, they don't want to let you into where they do the work because they're worried about somebody getting hurt or something like that. And they have these two big industrial bead blasting machines. Apparently, one of them has finer grit glass beads in it than the other one. So they took this and they tried it in the cabinet with the finer beads first. And indeed, as he did his blasting on it, you could see the brass finish. It just sort of washed away. And indeed, underneath the brass finish is copper, which is, they said was good. Then they just did a little bit on one edge, and then they took it out to look at it. And Tony told the big guy, he said, put it in the other cabinet with the bigger glass bead, because I think that'll work better. And in about a minute, it came out pretty much looking like this. It has had kind of a rough texture to it. We all looked at it and talked about it, and Tony told the big guy, he said, well, take it, put it back in the cabinet, and do the other side too, do the back, because you know these have brass plating on the back also. He said, do the back and get all the brass off of it. And he said, then put it in the other cabinet with the finer glass bead and go over it one more time, because that, I guess, it helps smooth out and take some of the roughness out of the surface of the Zymac, which is what we're looking at here, is a bead blasted Zymac casting. I don't know if this is exactly what it would have looked like when it was made brand new, but it's what it looks like today. Tony went off and he said, come find me when you're all done. And I said, cool. The big guy did what Tony said, finished doing both sides of this in the cabinet with the big beads, and then went to put it in the small cabinet, or the cabinet with the small beads. And I said, well, while you're doing that, could you try doing the grill and the little panel here also? And I gave them to him, and he said, sure. He said, if I do this one, he said the NuTone name's going to come off. And I said, I don't care about that. And he said, okay, fine, no problem. They were very nice there. Sometimes that's not always the case. So here's the little insert panel that's been bead blasted also. This will sit here. And here's our wire mesh grill. You can see through it. Ooh. It still has the adhesive on the back. He didn't want to bead blast this any more than necessary because he said really thin metal like this, really thin. He said when you bead blast it, it makes heat and the impact of the glass beads can warp the metal, and we don't want to do that. So he just did it really carefully on one side. And I told him it really wasn't a problem because it's going to get adhesive on the back again anyway, so that's all right. And this would sit in here like this and glue down with the adhesive. The whole thing, start to finish, I would say took him less than 2 minutes to do the whole thing. Obviously, he's done this a whole lot. He's a bead blasting professional. And when he got done, he handed it all to me. He said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think it's outstanding. It's exactly what I was hoping for. And this is exactly the right kind of place and the right kind of people to do something like this." They weren't all highfalutin and I don't know and you know, do you want us to do 1,000 of them? Because if you don't have 1,000, we don't want to do it. These were very accommodating people. It was the kind of shop that I've been in for other kinds of businesses before, where they know what they're doing, they know their craft or their trade, and they're not interested in turning business away, even if it's small jobs. He asked me, "How many do you think you'll have done altogether?" And I said, "Well, this is our proof of concept one. If everything goes the way I hope it will, we're probably looking at maybe doing somewhere between 30 and 50 pieces." And he said, "That's great." He said, "We'll be more than happy to do that. Make sure you come see me before you leave, and I'll give you a business card, and I'll keep your card, and we'll be talking." And I said, "Outstanding." So this was a very productive day. I hope this is not too reflective in the video to see. It does look as if it's been sprayed with aluminum paint, but it hasn't. It's been bead blasted, and it is a little bit rough. There might be a little something right there, but that's not a big deal. So this was step number 2, I guess, for part 2 of this video series. So what's step number 3 going to be? Well, next week, it turns out, I have a service call to do at a customer's home in Livermore, California. And in Livermore, California, there's another business. They're a commercial automotive paint and painting supply company. And they seem to be the go-to company in the area around here where we are for people who want to buy paint and painting equipment. According to what I've read, they're very, very knowledgeable about what and why and how to do this. They're the go-to place. There's, of course, like in a lot of places, there's a big hot rod culture around here. We have a Good Guys car show twice a year at the Pleasanton Fairgrounds, and there's a lot of guys with hot rods. This seems to be the place that they go for their supplies and things. So next week, I'm going to take these things to that business. I'm going to talk to them about what the project is and find out from them things I need to know. Things I need to know about primers, I need to know about paints, I need to know about clear coating, I need to know about what general supplies I need, and also what kind of equipment we need to do this. I already have a compressor and all those kind of things at the shop, so some type of small spray, something, I don't know exactly what it's going to be because it's not really what I do. The project is coming along nicely, and so far, it's thumbs up. It seems like the whole process so far has worked really well. I'm really tempted because this has a very slight roughness to it. And I'm really tempted to break out like the 2000 grit sandpaper and sand it and see if it smooths out. But I'm going to fight the urge and not do that because if it has some roughness, that would give the primer probably a better tooth, a better grip onto the metal, which is, I think, important and something you would want. So we're going to not do that, and we're going to wait till we talk to the paint expert because they'll know what to do. We also have looked into, I did find a source for the material to make the metal grills out of, metal grills that you can see through. See my fingers? Okay. So I found a place that you can buy this type of material. I have to try to figure out the number of holes in this. They're very, very, very small. They're like little pin size holes or like the tip of a pin. So I don't know exactly. I haven't figured out how to actually measure that on the, I don't know. They're very, very small. So I have to figure out that because the material comes in like 2 foot by 3 foot sheets. And it's not inexpensive. It's not super expensive, but it's not cheap either. And I don't want to buy the wrong kind and then have it be wasted. We also have looked into, you can get little bench top metal like brake shears, and you can just set it up for the right size, because sometimes on used ones the grill has fallen off and you'll need we need to make a replacement. And also it could possibly be that it would be easier to make a replacement one for each one than try to reuse the original ones and make the effort to take the adhesive off. That's some kind of industrial self-stick tape kind of thing, which is also goes behind this panel. I have also looked into different types of double-sided industrial adhesive tape, and of course the go-to company is 3M, because they have all the best adhesives, I think, and they make a lot of different kinds. The thickness of it is important. We're not talking about the clear kind of stuff that you buy at the office supply store that kids use to make posters and stuff. This has to be much better than that, and it has to be able to hold up outside and in hotter temperatures if the sun's beating down on it and all that kind of stuff. So I'm looking into that also. I did notice when I was in Hayward today, there's a company down the street. This is sort of a light industrial commercial type area, and there's lots and lots of different kinds of businesses that do different things. And there is a company that they had a sign on their building that says they do die cutting for gaskets and other things like that. And they could be a company that we could have a die made for the shape of the adhesive on the grill. This would just be a little strip, so that's easy. But this shape here, so it fits on the perimeter of the opening and then up the bar in the center. And if they're able to do that, we could just get the material, or they could get it and have a die made, and they could just stamp them out for us. Because it wouldn't be super expensive. Most of the cost probably would be in the die, and then once they have that, they just set up their machine and it chunks out 1,000 of them or something. So that's something that I have to look into also. We have now finished part 2 of the project, and next week we're going to go find out about primers and paints and things like that. The running tally on finishes so far seems to be, the #1 choice seems to be some type of bronze or oil rub bronzy kind of finish. And after that, of course, it's white. And I've had a few people say polished brass. So we have to figure out what it's going to do, what we're going to do with the finishes. I think to start with, I think our example one, since bronze or oil rub bronze seems to be the most popular finish right now, that's probably what we're going to go with. So now I've got to figure out, when I talk to the paint guy, what kind of carve that would come on. Or maybe he's got books and books of colors or something. I don't know. I'll find out. That's the end of part 2. Look forward to part 3 coming up to a YouTube channel near you soon. I hope you found this interesting and perhaps helpful. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up on YouTube, because that always helps. There'll be a banner right here that shows you how to subscribe. Go to our YouTube homepage, click on the bell or on the wheel, put in your email address, and every time we post a new video, you'll get a notification and you can watch it. That's all for today. See you on the next video.